Great decision to join us in the trenches with Dave Lapham, brought to you by First Star Logistics, as always coming to you from our outstanding studios, because we have, in my opinion, one of the brightest young minds in the National Football League, offensive coordinator Dan Pitcher. And, you know, it's good to know a lot of things, to know what you know, but can you teach it to others? And I think the thing that separates Dan Pitcher from a lot of them is he's an outstanding teacher, and he has pupils that have high football IQs, a la Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. They have physical attributes that are outstanding, but their mental capacity for the game of football is phenomenal. So, man, it's 1 + 1 = 3. And Dan Pitcher talks about those two players. He talks about his offensive football team. He talks a little bit about the Baltimore game. He talks about the upcoming opponent, the Los Angeles Chargers. And it is good stuff. You're going to enjoy Dan Pitcher very much. Thanks for carving time to join us in the trenches with Dave Lapham, brought to you by First Star Logistics. As always, we're coming to you from the studios provided by First Star Logistics, and we have a very, very special guest for you today, none other than Bengals offensive coordinator Dan Pitcher. And boy, Coach, I was thinking about it the other night. 3 games, 2 against Baltimore, 1 against Kansas City, lost by a total of 5 points. In regulation, if in 120 minutes, the game against Kansas City and the game against Baltimore the first time, in 120 minutes, the score was a 1-point differential. It goes into overtime. Lose a game by a field goal. And then in this football game, if it decided to kick the extra point, that's 180 minutes where it could have ended in a virtual 1-point differential. And 180 minutes in regulation against those 3 football teams. Go for 2, which I totally agree with, going for 2, the way you guys had performed in the red zone. My point is, this football team can play with anybody. A lot of people are saying that those are the 2 best teams in the AFC, Kansas City and Baltimore. Bengals went toe-to-toe with them 3 times, and it was anybody's football game.
Yeah, I mean, that's this league, and when you're playing, great opponents, games are going to come down to 1 or 2 plays here or there. And, we went into those games confident. We'll continue to go into games confident that we're going to be able to move the football and score points. And really it just becomes about finding a way, finding a way to make the last play, or it's not always the last play of the game. It's, when you look back in retrospect, oftentimes it's a play that happened maybe in the 3rd quarter, or, sometime early in the 4th quarter, that you look back and you say, man, if we had just made that play. And it's a dangerous game to play. Hindsight's always 20/20. We just have to keep our approach steady, keep a positive mindset for what we have left in front of us, and keep the guys believing in the plan. I think we'll do all those things.
Yeah, you hit on a point that Bill Tiger Johnson made to me when I was a rookie. Young man, you're in the big show now. All these guys are good. All these teams are good. It's going to come down to a play here or a play there, and you never know what play it's going to be, but it's going to come down to a play here or a play there. He said, you won't believe the percentage of games that are going to come down to 1 score. It's going to be a 1-score differential. It's going to be a 1-play game. And unfortunately this year it's 1 and 5 in those 1-score games. I mean, right there. It's just a matter of, like a play here or play there just to finish them off, right?
Yeah, that's what it is, man. It's where we find ourselves, and it's this league. It's why it's the greatest professional sports league in the world. And we got to find a way to come out on the right side of these close games.
Man, offensively, playing at an extremely high level, your quarterback, obviously, to no one's surprise, at least not to mine, that's for darn sure. Number 1 in the National Football League in pass attempts, completions, yards, touchdown passes. He's tied for number one. And Jamar Chase, his primary target, is right there for the Triple Crown. 66 catches, almost 1,000 yards, 10 touchdown receptions. I mean, a lot of players in the National Football League would say, man, that's a hell of a year. That's 10 games of work for Jamar Chase. I mean, they are both playing at an unbelievable level, aren't they?
They are. They're playing the way that we expect them to play, the way we need them to play. And both of their approaches have been outstanding. Their preparation is top notch. Jamar, I feel, has really taken his game to another level even this year, compared to what it's been in the past, and it's been pretty damn good in the past. So, two elite NFL players who are playing at elite levels, and we just got to keep putting them in spots to make plays for us, and that goes for all of our guys. We've got other guys that are playing well too. We understand the challenge ahead, and so we're going to need everybody.
You mentioned that Jamar has taken his game even to another level. In what area or areas is he playing at another level, do you think?
I just think, he's grown to such a level from a football IQ and, understanding of the defense. I mean, our utilization of him has been, we've put him everywhere you could possibly put him and ask him to do basically everything you could ask him to do. And all he's done is respond each and every time positively. He's making strides in areas of his game that maybe haven't been utilized as much in the past. He's played a little bit more inside, and so that brings with it a whole host of things that you have to be able to navigate and understand. And he's doing it at a high level. So, I think the ability's always been there with Jamar. The love of the game has always been there. The intense competitiveness has always been there. And I think he's just refining his skill set this year and really becoming the best in the world at what he does.
It is. It's remarkable to listen to him in post game in his pressers. It sounds like a quarterback. They're a cloud in here. They're a little shell here. He's talking coverages like he just. You're right. I mean, to listen to him, he certainly conveys that football IQ, that Mensa level that he has, as a receiver in terms of what teams are trying to do to take him, away and what he needs to do to combat that. And then both the mental aptitude and the physical abilities to be able to line him up all over the place like you guys do to remedy those situations is remarkable.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot on his plate. There's no doubt about it, mentally and physically. I mean, he's in tremendous shape. The yards that he covers, the high speed yardage that he gets on a day-to-day basis. I mean, he's a machine. He's one of the best athletes in the world, and we're fortunate to have him.
So Joe obviously is playing at such a high level himself. What I guess he's always done a lot of things at an extremely high level, but is he doing anything this year at a higher level than he's done in the past, or is it just his total game again?
I mean, all the stuff, all the areas that you see him performing well in are all areas that we knew to be his strengths, and over the course of his career, he's performed well in them at varying stages. I think he's kind of putting it all together, and his understanding of the offense and ability to get himself into good plays, out of bad looks, just kind of his overall ability to utilize everything at his fingertips is the best it's ever been, and it'll continue to get better the more and more he plays. So he holds himself to a super high standard, and I think for the most part he's met that standard this year, and he knows we got to continue to get it out of him. He expects it out of himself, and I think we will. And I think that's always going to put us in position to win any football game that we step foot on the field, no matter who the opponent is. And so we got the second half of the season where we're going to have a lot of chances to go do that. And if we do, then we're still able to accomplish everything we set out to accomplish. And It's going to be a climb to get there, but Joe's a guy that can help us do it.
Around the National Football League this season, when a team scores 33 or more points, the final record, the outcome is 40 wins, 4 defeats. You scored 33 points or more 5 times and are 2-3. The rest of the league is 38-1. I mean, how frustrating is that?
Every game's a different story, and all you do is try to put together a really good plan during the week, and then be ready to modify that plan as needed when you get in the game, and you try your best. It's our job to score points, among other things, but that's the chief responsibility that we have, to score points. And so there's been weeks where we've done a really good job of that. There's been weeks where we've left stuff out there, and it's the ultimate team game, man. You can't. Everybody has a job. It's coach speak. It's whatever you want to call it, but just do your job. Like that's all you can focus on is just what's within your control and trying your best, because when you look yourself in the mirror, everyone realizes every game there's something they could have done better as an individual, as a unit. And if you're focusing on anything other than that, then you're not doing right by your teammates and by the organization. So we're gonna keep doing that, and we're gonna do our best to put up as many points as possible.
Against Baltimore in 2 football games, Joe Burrow, quarterback rating of 121.4, 64 for 95, 820 yards, 9 touchdowns, 1 interception. His primary target, Jamar Chase, targeted him 29 times, 21 catches on those 29 targets, 457 yards, 5 touchdowns. I mean, in the 2 games total as an offensive football team, 1,845 yards. Both football teams, I should say, in these football games, 1,845 yards, 394 yards passing, 1,451 yards. 394 yards rushing, 1,451 yards passing. I mean, these were track meets. I mean, these were offensive clinics. Both quarterbacks playing at an unbelievably extremely high level. I mean, Lamar Jackson in those 2 football games, 51 of 75 for 638 yards, 8 touchdowns, no interceptions. 2 quarterbacks, 17 touchdowns, 1 pick. I mean, that's throw tape on. That's a clinic for any young quarterback to watch, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you'd be hard pressed to find 2 guys that are playing better football at the position right now in the league. And there's a lot of good players in this league, and guys that have accomplished great things. But if you wanted to point out the 2 that are playing the best football right now, in my opinion, they were on the field last Thursday night. So, that can result in games like that. And, disappointing we weren't able to come away with a win there. But, we just got to keep pushing forward. And I think Joe will continue to perform at a high level.
Let's move forward to the next opponent here, the Chargers. In the Senior Bowl before the 2020 draft, 2 quarterbacks were participating in that football game. The Bengals coaching staff was coaching that football game, and you had Justin Herbert, and the other team had Joe Burrow. So you had the fortunate experience of having one firsthand, and the other one that you're scouting, on a practice by practice basis, getting ready for the football game. And here they are. Joe Burrow's the first pick of the draft. Herbert's the 6th pick of the draft. And now they're both working against each other. Give us your take on what Herbert was like.
Yeah. I'm just thinking back. I think Joe obviously was invited, but I think they had just won the national championship.
You're right.
So I don't think he was there, but
yep, you're right.
But we did have Justin. We had him for the week. Really got to know and enjoy being around him, our time there. He's a good dude. He's very smart. He's super impressive physically. I mean, it was kind of one of those deals where, like, as the week went on and on, there was, maybe 1 or 2 throws the first day, and then there were 3 or 4 throws the next day. And then the red zone day, there was like 5 or 6 throws where by the time you got to the end of it, you were like, all right. You kind of saw his confidence grow during the week, and then you saw these, just big time throws that a handful of, people have the ability to make, and he had it. And so, it was from that point where you left that week feeling like, okay, this guy's got a good chance to be a really good pro. And, as it turns out, that's exactly what he's been. So happy that he's been able to have the career that he's had. And, they've undergone a lot of change there during his time, with regard to offensive system and pieces, changing in and out and around him. But I feel like he's been really kind of steady through all of that, and, shows why he was deserving of the high pick and why he's one of the better quarterbacks in football.
Yeah, you go from one Harbaugh to the other, John Harbaugh to Jim Harbaugh, and they have there's a lot of common threads, I guess, to the way they approach the game of football. I mean, they both want to run the football, they both want to stop the run, they both want to play good defense and not turn the football over, and that's been a big thing with the Los Angeles Chargers. They only have 4 giveaways on the season, tied for fewest in the NFL. Herbert's got 1 interception on the entire season, which is fewest in the National Football League. They value the football. They try to limit your possessions, obviously, so every possession is going to be very, very valuable. They're the 4th team in the last 40 years to hold an opponent to 20 points or less in each of the first 9 games. Only 4 teams have done it in 40 years. The only team that did score 20 points, the Pittsburgh Steelers in Pittsburgh. Everybody else under 20 points. What is it about that defense as you look at that defense on tape, Coach? What is it about them?
Well, I think you kind of touched on it just in terms of their philosophy of what style of football do they want to play. I think that comes from the head coach, and it's clear in how they've built the whole unit. It's been a talented defense for years. They've had moments where they played at really high level, and I think it's a quote unquote Baltimore scheme, whatever that means. Jesse Minter's got experience there. Obviously, he was at Michigan with Coach Harbaugh, and so there's a lot of volume within the scheme. They major in a 2 safety shell, and they want to keep everything in front and inside, and try to just kind of box you in and make you earn it and go the long way. And that tends to marry well with how they want to play offensive football, and the result is exactly what you said. It's a churn it out, low possession style game that is going to emphasize time of possession and them running the football and all the things that they do well, and then they have a quarterback that can make plays when they need them to. So it's a challenge. It's not a challenge that we're don't have experience facing. There are a lot of teams that look at us and the threat that we pose, and they want to play this style of game against us. And so we're used to that, and we'll design a good plan, and we'll put our guys in position to have success. And then the big thing is, in games like this, you just have to, you can't have any long foul balls. They hang a curveball, it's got to end up in the left field seats. It's because you just don't have maybe as many chances. And so that'll be a focus this week, and we'll get it done.
That's a great way to put a great analogy there. So they got 31 sacks amongst the league leaders by 14 different players. I mean, he's bringing them, I guess, from everywhere, but 16 of the sacks are by 5 different players. Then those 5 different players have between 3 and 5.5 sacks. So they're very balanced. I mean, it's like Trey's got 11. I mean, Trey's like, whoa. They have guys pretty much everywhere, but they do have somebody on the edge that is has been good for a long time. He puts he can pressure the quarterback in multiple ways. 8 Pro Bowls in 9 seasons. I mean, Khalil Mack is unbelievable, and they got Bosa. They've got some talent on that in that phase of it to pressure the quarterback, don't they?
Yeah. I mean, they've got really good players, guys that have done it for a long time. Mack, Bosa, Derwin James, really just talented guys that know how to play NFL football at a high level. And I think one of the hallmarks of this scheme is that it, I don't know, it's not it's not super reliant on one or two individuals. I think it's sound, and they play good team football, and they play well together. So that's how they want to play. And then when you plug really good football players into that, then those guys have a chance to excel. So we'll see, man. We know the challenge ahead of us. It's the NFL. It's like you just said. I forget what coach gave you that advice early on, but
Right.
I mean, it's every week. It's every week, and it's so you just know that, and you prepare accordingly.
So there are two things that jumped out at me. Was obviously in the turnover department, you can't give them extra possessions and take one away from yourself. They're 13 takes, 11th in the league, 4 giveaways, tied for first. +9 is tied for second. So they've gotten some short fields because of turnovers. They've won field position in terms of special teams, long and short field that way. And then if you do get in the red zone, which is difficult, they've only allowed opponents in the red zone 18 times, fewest in the league. Only 7 touchdowns scored, fewest in the league. And that 38.9% touchdown conversion rate is second in the National Football League. Once you get in that short field against them, what makes them so tough down there in that red zone and low red zone?
It's the same stuff that makes them tough in the field. It's just sound scheme and good communication and good players. So we've been good down there, and we'll have a good plan, and we get down there and we're going to finish just like we've done all year. So it'll be a challenge like it always is, but we'll be up to the task.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of the biggest interesting matchups of the game. You guys are number 2 in the NFL offensively, scoring a touchdown 72.4% of the time. And they're number 2 defensively, stopping the touchdown percentage-wise in the National Football League. That's going to be an interesting matchup to watch for sure. The other thing that strikes me out, watching them a little bit, they don't seem to be super complicated. It's simplicity. It's the way they do it. The players, I think, play so fast and so free because I don't think their mind's burdened with a lot of stuff. It doesn't seem like they do a big volume, a huge inventory of stuff. Do they, Coach?
That's probably fair to say. I mean, they have plenty of defense that stresses you, and they know how to push the right buttons that force you to have all the answers. With regard to whether it's in pressure pickups or whether it's on first and second down, and putting the run plan together, and so they have all the things that make life hard on you. But I think it's fair to say that they're not trying to win with by calling 30 different calls in the game, and they're not necessarily trying to win by confusing you. It's soundness of scheme, it's communication, it's asking their guys to play fast and to do the fundamental things well. And I think to this point in the season, they've done that. And so, our challenge is to go in there with our, really good skill players and excellent quarterback and pose a threat to them that they haven't seen yet. That's our mentality.
Yep.
They've played well and they deserve credit for that. But they have to play us on Sunday. And so, our plan is to make life hard for them.
And boy, thinking about Jamar, the numbers he's put up with the absence of T. Higgins, I mean, it's going to make life easier for Jamar and life easier for everybody when T is able to come back and contribute like T. Higgins can. What is it like without T as opposed to with T?
I mean, T's a great player, and T brings an element that is hard to replace. Having T on the field is a major deterrent to the defense to overcompensate for Jamar. Sometimes they still choose to do it because they deem Jamar to be that big a threat, and I don't blame them when they make that decision. And then those are where T's opportunities are going to increase, and T has a history and a track record of taking advantage of those opportunities when they show up. And so we'll be excited to get T back out there whenever that happens, and expect him to play at the high level that he's shown he can consistently play at through the entirety of his career. And this season, when he's been out there, he's played at a very high level. So, that'll be a big boost to us whenever that happens.
Give us a State of the Union address with respect to your running game. I mean, where are you with regard to how your running games perform for you?
Yeah, I mean, we've had stretches during the year where it's been really encouraging, and I think 2 weeks ago against Vegas, there were a lot of really good things. Again, I've answered this question several different ways, and throughout the year, and maybe it feels like I'm deflecting, but I think each game is its own situation, and so there are going to be certain games where there are circumstances that just flat out dictate that it's not going to be a high volume running game for our offense based on how we're constructed and how the game's going. And, that we have to be cognizant of that, because we need that phase. We need the run game. We believe that we need the run game, and it makes us a complete unit. And, there's been games where you've seen that, and there's been games where we needed to be better. And so, we're constantly assessing that part of it. And, I believe we'll put together a really good plan, and our guys will go execute it. And so, and then based on how the game plays out, we've had 30 carry games this year. We've had, 15 carry games, and we love to run the ball 30 times with a 2-score lead and put it away in the second half, because we know we can do it. We've done it. And that's, hopefully how this thing plays out for us.
And getting Orlando Brown back would be instrumental as well. We're talking about T. That's huge to get him back. Cody Ford's been solid. I mean, and guys that have stepped up in T's absence have been solid. I mean, it's next man up, and guys have performed well. They've stepped up, but you got elite players. I mean, like you said, T. Higgins is hard to replace. Orlando Brown, multiple-time Pro Bowler. I mean, very hard to replace. To get those guys back would be extremely helpful. But credit to you guys as coaches and the players for performing at an extremely high level. I mean, the offense has held up their end of the bargain and more.
Well, I think it's a testament to our position coaches and how hard they work. I always think that's really something that you can hang your hat on as a position coach when players who are in backup roles come in and perform well and really help you as a unit not to miss a beat. And that's something that as a position coach I took a lot of pride in, and I know our guys do as well. And so you look at the way Frank has been able to prepare the guys that started the year as maybe the 7th, 8th, 9th guys are playing a lot of football for us, and I think are holding up their end of the bargain. And same with James Casey and now Justin Hill, with us not having Zach Moss. I mean, it's the nature of the league. Everyone's got to prepare for it. And I think I have tremendous belief in our coaching staff and how hard they work and the pride that they take in getting those guys ready. And I think what you're seeing on the field when those guys get out there is a result of that. And the players too. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a player's game, and the guys that are put out there to go perform deserve the lion's share of the credit when they do.
Yeah, the thing that impresses me about you as coaches and the players, it's like, all right, well, man, T gets hurt on the Friday practice before a game, and you have to make all these adjustments, and you lose Eric All, and he was the core of the flexibility and the versatility of that tight end room, and now you got to make a lot of changes in a very short period of time. And he gets hurt during the course of the game, and you got to just, on the fly, make all these adjustments and all these changes. I mean, to watch on a not on a game by game basis, not even half by half, quarter by quarter, but series by series basis, how you guys have to make adjustments and and get everybody on the same page, and then the players to respond to the adjustments you're making. Man, that's big time. That's high level. It really is.
Yeah, it falls within the job description. You'd love to be able to just play every game with the same group of guys that you started the year with, and but everybody deals with it. That's part of what you have to be able to do. That's why it's important to have great lines of communication and have guys that prepare like they're going to have to play, even if they're not starters going into the week. Because like you said, it's a game of attrition, and you never know when all of a sudden you're going to be not only called on to play a little bit, but potentially play a lot, and you got to be ready when that happens. So, we'll continue to adjust as we need to adjust, and hope that the instances are fewer and further between than what they've been to this point. But we have no control over that. So, whatever we're called on to do, we're going to do it at a high level. We're going to do it with great energy and effort and belief in ourselves. And I think that we just have to trust that ultimately that's going to get us where we want to go. And that's you can lay your head down at night feeling pretty good about what you're doing if that's the mentality that you take every day.
And finally, Coach, and I promise this is finally, Ja'Marr Chase, individually and then collectively, your offense with Joe Burrow running your offense. When you're watching tape during the week and trying to prepare for the game, and you're thinking, yeah, they do that. But what are they going to do against us? What are they going to do against Joe Burrow, Ja'Marr Chase, T. Higgins when you have your full complement? I mean, it's like, I know you teach concepts, and I know, you'll make adjustments again on a series by series basis. Look, guys, here's what they're doing. They hadn't shown this, but they're doing this against us, and this is the concept we're going to use here. And sometimes you draw upon plays from like a couple of weeks ago's game plan and know that the guys are going to be up to speed with it and all that. That has to be a comforting feeling, when you are confronted with, man, they're not doing anything that they've shown because they haven't faced an offense like ours yet.
Yeah, it's a couple of things. You try to anticipate that during the week. You try to go find times when maybe they were facing an opponent that had, players that you think are, maybe not of equal caliber to somebody like Ja'Marr, but, it was close, and see how they treated that player. And then it's getting in the game and having enough in the arsenal that you can get to, even if it maybe necessarily wasn't up in that game plan, that you can talk about with the guys on the sideline, talk about at halftime, and then get to in a critical spot if you need it. And that's one of the benefits of having continuity in a system, and having guys that have played together for as long as they have, and coaches who have coached together for as long as we have, is that we can do some of those things that a first, second, even third year group of guys would have a hard time doing. And it would be too much. And so, we have to guard against trying to do too much, but we do have the ability to get to some different stuff that way because of how long we've been together.
Coach, appreciate your time very much. You are one of the bright young minds in the National Football League. You've done a phenomenal job for the Cincinnati Bengals and every assignment that they've given you. And you've been here with the organization for a while, and you are a star that shines brightly, and appreciate you giving us some of that knowledge you've got. Thanks for your time, sir.
You got it, Lap. We'll talk soon.
All right.
Dave Lapham here, and every day I am grateful for my experience to have played professional football. As a player, I realize self-motivation, leadership, and appreciating your teammates are key. At First Star Logistics, you can use those same attributes to create the life you want for you and your family. Build your future by working hard like I did. You'll see results both on and off the field. Call First Star Logistics today and be part of our winning team.
Opportunity knocking.